Google shares jumping after a U.S. judge ruled the tech giant will not have to spin off its Chrome browser. Joining us now, Jonathan Kanter, former Assistant Attorney General, now a CNBC contributor and distinguished law professor at Washington University in St. Louis. Good to see you, Jonathan. And we talked about this, and I wondered what your comments would be. And I don't know if you saw our discussion. I think maybe I'll just let you talk and then go into some of the nuances. I made the case that by the time the government's able to do something, a lot of times the markets have moved and it seems less consequential because things seem to rectify themselves. But then we said AT&T might still be Ma Bell if you don't actually make the effort. What do you say in this case? Was it worth it?
Sure. Well, yes, it was worth it. I mean, the government secured a significant victory that's historic in terms of the precedent. I think the court here had an opportunity to do something bold and transformative. Instead, it did something nuanced and watered down. And so I think there was a real missed opportunity to really change the market in a significant way. That having been said, of course it was worth it. And I think your point about Ma Bell is right. I think you can make the same point about US v. Microsoft. The remedy came at the time when the internet was transforming how we use computers. And there was an argument that a remedy wasn't necessary there. And there was an argument that the case wasn't necessary there because of all that transformation. There's a strong argument that we wouldn't have Google today if we didn't have the US v. Microsoft case, because that allowed companies like Google and its browser Chrome and its search engine to get access to consumers regardless of which machine they were using, including Windows, which was at the time the dominant distribution mechanism. And it made sure that companies like Google had the ability to transform how people engage on the internet. So I think, yes, it was worth it, but I do think that this is unfortunate in terms of being a weaker remedy than it could have been, and the court really missed a golden opportunity to transform and really open up competition so that this new generation of AI competitors have the opportunity to compete in a full-throated, in a fully impactful competitive fashion.
Because I think the government feels like it proved its case in terms of something that needed to happen. So the remedy just, how would you characterize it? Somewhat toothless? It's disappointing, I think you said.
Yeah, it is disappointing. I think the court really had the opportunity to do something transformative here. And the decision that the court issued a number of months ago was quite bold, and it gave the court a lot of discretion to impose a remedy that didn't give Google the benefit of the doubt. And I think the part that perhaps gives me the most heartburn is the court kicked the can down the road in terms of the issue about whether Google can continue paying companies like Apple billions of dollars a year for distribution. It said that Google could, but if it turns out the remedy doesn't work, then the court is willing to revisit it and then revise the remedy. And I think that for a company that has, like Google, that has been found to violate the antitrust laws, something more definitive would have been far more preferable in this instance.
Jonathan, can you explain, though, this is the thing I've been pondering all morning, this distinction between you can't pay for exclusivity, but you can pay to be the default search on a phone, and what that ultimately means. So if you're Apple selling them this access to be the default, does that give Apple an opportunity to say, hey, we saw this court's decision, we're going to make it the default, but we're also going to add 2 or 3 other options? Or does it mean that nothing changes? Does Google still pay for this same amount of money? How do you see that playing out?
Andrew, I think the reason you're confused is because it's as clear as mud, right? So the court on one hand says that Google can't pay for exclusivity, meaning that, for example, all devices that Apple ships, Google can't mandate that they all ship with the Google default. But the problem is the devil's going to be in the details. And the court asked both sides to go back and propose a new remedy that captures what the court is instructing in its opinion. And I'm not sure they're going to know how to do that because, for example, what if Google pays a price that is equivalent to exclusivity? and makes it so that there is no incentive for Apple or anyone else to use any other product. The court is relying on the fact that enough VC money will be behind the OpenAIs and the Perplexities and Anthropics of the world so that they could actually compete on price. But again, I think the decision here is confusing, and I expect additional rounds of litigation to figure out exactly how to implement the remedy.
Jonathan, we're watching Apple shares up 4%, probably on this news. You think investors are rushing into things and maybe they should think twice before assuming that these payments to Apple can continue?
Well, I think the court has made it clear in its opinion that Apple can continue getting billions of dollars from the likes of Google, and at a minimum, it'll be able to use Google as a stalking horse to drive up the price of distribution for Perplexity, Anthropic, and OpenAI as a alternative. So I think the court was clear that some form of payments will continue, and that probably is why you're seeing shares of Apple go up the way they are. I think that's unfortunate, and I think a missed opportunity for the court. But how it pays for and what it pays for, though, is still unclear, at least in my mind, and I think going to be litigated going forward. Okay.
All right, Jonathan. Thanks. We were interested in where you stood. Not totally surprised, but I think AT&T probably is a good. If you don't try, nothing ever is going to happen. You can't really just say it wasn't worth it.
You miss 100% of the shots you never take.
Exactly. How many times did Babe Ruth strike out?
Right.
A lot, I think.